This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 609 of the Dressage Radio Show, official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, Eco Gold, and Total Saddle Fit. On today's show, we are joined by our friend Melissa Allen, who has been interacting on Facebook with dressage tips. And also, we've got Wendy Murdoch talking about riding safari in Africa. And then newly accredited USDF instructor Jennifer Truitt will be on. And to finish off the whole show will be Olivia Lagoy-Welts. She's got a great trainer tip for us.
This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Loxahatchee, Florida.
And this is Philip Parks from Rockwood, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Well, hi, Phil.
Hi, Reese. How are you doing? How's it going down there?
Really? It's been great. It is really good. We are still actually at the height of the season. Really, we show again tomorrow. We've been doing a lot of showing, and some of it we're doing a lot because we've broken the horses up. It's sort of how everybody's schedule's going. But I did my first Grand Prix freestyle and bingo last week. It's really good, 71%. So we'll take it. And he was good. He's actually 15, but he's pretty green Grand Prix horse. He's never done a CDI before. He's never done a freestyle before. So he was a little bit nervous actually going in, but it was late in the evening last Saturday at Global. It's one of those, it's just a great night. And my coach, Scott Hassler and Sarah Turry, who has been Bingo's nanny, it was just a really cool experience. And it was a lot of fun. He was a little bit nervous. So we're going to do it again tomorrow. I want to get my regional scores before we head home. It's kind of nice because the horse show's less than a mile from our farm. So it's not really stressful on them. They get in the trailer, they're back within an hour. And that's really the nice part about it versus when I get home, we all have to travel a little bit more. So it's actually a little less stressful. And Follow Me does his first Intermediate 1 tomorrow. Everybody's kind of been following my journey with him. I guess I've had him 5 years now. So tomorrow will be really fun. I think he's going to be quite a good I-1 horse. The test really suits him. He's not been a bad St. George horse either, but so that's going to be fun. So lots of firsts tomorrow. Yeah.
Right. Great.
Yeah.
We're wishing you luck.
Thank you. And
hopefully it all continues to go well, and you can get to where you need to be and get your scores, and that way you can have a little bit of a quieter summer.
That's the plan. It's the way your and I schedules work. I'm really busy really now. And then I am quieter in the summer and you're really busy in the summer. So it works out really well that we get to do that and kind of flip our seasons. So that's the plan. So looking forward to it. It's kind of a school night tonight, kind of a quiet here at the house. I'll do night check and probably go to bed after we record. So all is well. But we do want to acknowledge, I'm sure everybody listened to Olivia Lagoy-Welts' interview about going to the World Cup, and the World Cup has actually been canceled. It was canceled after our interview, so we went ahead and ran that interview last week because it was such a cool interview. And I'm not sure, we'll have to talk to Olivia about it again, about her future plans. I'm sure she's really working toward Tokyo. I know that. And also we want to acknowledge Charlotte Yorst, who was on that team, and also Shelly Francis. She was also on the team going to the World Cup. We wish them well. And all the other riders. I know Brittany Fraser was the Canadian representative, but all those riders, I mean,
such a shame. Yeah. I feel like, we did our interview, and then Friday morning I woke up and then the news was coming in from Europe that because of their EHV1 outbreak, that they didn't think they could responsibly hold that big dressage and show jumping World Cup finals. And it's probably the right decision, but it's just such a shame. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's absolutely heartbreaking. So, we really want to send everybody our love, and obviously safety first. So I think we're all learning, if there's anything in these pandemic times, is to have flexible plans. I think we're all there, but we're sending them our love. And she just still did a great interview, and it was super fun to have her on. So she made the team, and so we wish them all well. Well, Phil, we've got a great show. We actually have quite a busy show tonight. So we're going to get started with Melissa Allen. She's got another fantastic resource on our series of finding resources on the internet. We hope you enjoy. Well, tonight I'm very excited to have Melissa Allen on the program. She is a USDF FEI certified instructor. She is an amazing rider as well, and she is the creator and curator of the Dressage Training Tips Facebook page. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Well, you've been on the show before, but it's been a little bit, I think.
It has, but I always love doing it.
We are so happy you were here in Wellington. Tell us a little bit about why you were down here. We got to spend some time together a couple of weeks ago, and it was lots of fun. So what were you doing down here?
We did. It was lots of fun. Actually, it was just an intense training trip for me. I have a new horse that's a Dutch mare, and she's coming 5 this year. And with COVID last year, I was unable to get any training done. So wanted to come down for 2 weeks and do some intense training with Christine Trarig, Allison Brock, and Catherine Bateson. And so I brought her down and did lessons the whole time I was there, and it was absolutely phenomenal.
I know you had so much fun. And I think that was so great to see, because us as trainers, right, to be able to come down and have 2 weeks with your horse of training, it's truly a sabbatical, isn't it?
Completely. And I love my clients and I love, what I do, but it's nice to focus on me and my horse for those 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And didn't your students, everybody felt like this was a good idea and kind of helped pitch in, right, to have you come down?
Oh, they were fantastic. Everybody not only pitched in and was supportive, but helped financially for me to be able to do this. Had my sponsors that pitched in to help me do this, which was amazing. And it really showed the support that they have for me. And of course, they know that I'm going to bring back all of my experience and my inspiration, which I did coming home. And then, of course, being in Wellington, seeing all of the horse shows and being around that level of dressage training is just absolutely inspirational in itself. So it was a wonderful trip, and my clients are amazing, and sponsors are amazing to help support me. Even just for the 2 weeks, it was absolutely worth it to be able to do that. And I could not have done it without them. I have to say that.
Well, I love it. Just to put a bug in everybody's ear, if you can get together with your barn group and help, maybe your trainer can't get away or feels like they can't get away. This was awesome. And it's an inspiration for everybody. So I wanted to talk about that as well. Along with, you have an amazing Facebook page. Wendy, tell us about it and when you started it.
Oh, gosh. I started it back in November of 2019. I just had an idea. I'm a very private person, but I wanted to really help educate people, and where I don't love to put myself on YouTube. This was a way for me to have a little outlet for people, and just education. Everybody loves education, and this was really a fun journey for me. It's been great, and I love doing it, and I love the people's stories that join it. There is a question, just tell me in one sentence about you and your horse, and some of the responses that I've gotten from people have been hilarious. I had one gal say, "I have a chestnut mare. Need I say more?" So it's been really fun, and I have people from all over the world that have joined it, which has been very humbling and amazing to me, because I just wanted sort of this to be a little small, and it's really taken off and grown huge, and but lots to talk about, and anybody that has questions, I openly say, message me, and if you have a question, and I'll talk about it. So that's been fun.
Yeah, I think you're kind of like we were 7, 8, maybe 8 years ago, where it's like, okay, Reese and I are going to talk on the show, and maybe a few people will listen. But I mean, the community is just so expansive and hungry for talk about dressage, or that it really surprised us as well.
Yeah, totally. And I was blown away, and I still, I get 20, 30 responses a day. Asking to be invited to the page. So it's very fun.
So maybe you can tell us a little bit about some of the tips that you've come up with, or how do you come up with it? Let's talk first about how you come up with these tips and where you're getting your inspiration from.
Well, I get inspiration daily from my students. I can say that, knowing that we have, 2 or 3 lessons in that day, and it was the same topic for that day. That's one inspiration. The other inspiration is asking for feedback. I went through a period of articles where I kind of did a little contest, and I said, ask questions. What do you want me to write about? And I had 10 articles out of those questions. I had 10 questions, and so I wrote my 10 articles, ranging from walk pirouettes to canter pirouettes to tempi changes to medium trots, stretch trot circles, even free walk. How do you pick up the reins from a free walk? And so I did all of those articles, and then I picked the winner based upon what everybody felt was the best article. And then they got a free virtual lesson from me. So that was fun. But the inspiration just sort of comes to me. Sometimes I don't write on there for a little while, and then a topic hits me that I'm like, people really need to understand what we're talking about, and, connection, or, developing your skills of confidence in the saddle. There's a lot of people that, are not confident, or they have maybe a difficult horse, or maybe they're a timid rider. And how do you build confidence? And so, being able to help them through that, just in my articles has really been amazing. And I've had a lot of great feedback from that. So that's the rewarding part for me.
No, it's fantastic. And it kind of keeps us all going, right? And that's why we're all teachers. And this is just other forms of teaching. So tell us, what was kind of your latest tip that you gave?
So I did one on basically putting the theory to work. So everybody reads the books and they watch videos, but how does that translate for you as an individual and your horse? Because everybody obviously has different body types, different athletic skills, and your horse as well. They're conformationally different. And so it really, I broke it down to how do you translate what you're reading, what you're seeing, what you're hearing to help you in the saddle. And one of the things that I learned from Lilo 4, the wonderful Lilo 4 years ago, going through the certification program, was for me to be a teacher, I need to teach them what to do as if I were sitting in the saddle. And that really changed my thought process on how to teach, because you can tell them you need more bend or, more engagement, but what's the feel that the rider should be looking for? And so that's really inspired the article that I wrote about that. And, the rider has a responsibility as well as the trainer. And a lot of people do have regular training, but some people don't. And so as a rider, you have to be responsible for your own learning as well. So, going through your checklist, I know I need to keep my shoulders back. I know I need to keep my elbows bent, making sure that the rider is doing their part and their responsibility of learning as well, that it's not just left up to a trainer telling them every time they need to do something. So being a little more independent in their thought process on their riding, and then developing the feel in translating, well, I did this, so I put my hands down. What was the feel that came from it? Remember that feel. So that will help you remember to keep your hands where they're supposed to be. It's not just, oh, I need to keep my hands down. What was the feeling that translated with that process?
Yeah. No, I love it. And I think, dressage, which is so interesting about our sport, is there's a ton of theory you have to learn and understand, right? I think all three of us, we learn to ride as kids, which, we've talked about on the program before. When you learn to ride as a child, it's different than learning to ride or honing your skills when you're in your 40s or 50s. It's very, very different. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of times, more theory in your 40s and 50s than I certainly do, than when we started riding as teenagers and kids, and we were going, Liz and I have been friends a very long time, and we would go to clinics together and learn theory, but we could do it. We just didn't know what we were doing. So there's definitely that, that transfer of knowledge of, okay, it's good to know the theory. That's awesome and very necessary. But how do you translate that to your horse if you're sort of, not a limber kid anymore? And I think I certainly learned that when I learned a new skill, when I tried to learn long lining, right? It was really frustrating to me because I knew what I was supposed to do, but getting organized and doing it was one thing. So I think when you learn a new skill, it's very different than when you learned it when you were a kid, or maybe you rode a lot when you were a kid and now, you've raised your babies and you're back into horses and your body doesn't do what it did as a kid. So I think that's also really important to think about too, when you learn the theory and we love talking about theory. We can geek out all you want about, the three of us can really geek out about dressage theory and love to do that, but you have to know the theory, but then there's that sort of, you have to translate it right into practice.
Well, and I totally agree. And I think that a lot of times, exactly what you were just saying, Reese, is, a lot of people are getting back into it or getting new into it as they get older, and everyone learns differently. And I feel like a lot of riders are more left-brained in the way that they approach things. So they may know the theory on it, but they don't have that right brain yet. So the left brain is obviously your thought process. It's your processing. So you're thinking about it all the time. And the right brain is just automatic, so you're driving home, you know where you're going. That's your right brain. You're in a new city. You don't know where you're going. That's your left brain. You're paying more attention. Everything's a thought process. And the same is true in riding, where I find that a lot of people get into their left brain and they're thinking and they're trying to process. And then that takes away from their right brain in feeling things. So trying to develop the evenness on, yes, we have to talk theory, but you also have to feel it. So you go back and forth between over processing and, a lot of people over process things. They have to think through it. Well, you're sitting on your horse in the meantime, and your horse is like, I don't know what you're talking about because you're in your own head. You haven't told me what to do here. And the right brain of it, I feel, is the naturalism. And I think that's going back to when we rode as kids. We've been there, we've done it. Our bodies naturally feel things. And now that we're older, I won't say how much older, just a little older, you incorporate, because we had the ability and the athleticism when we were younger, that we feel things naturally now that we don't even think about, and they watch us ride and they're like, we don't see you half halting. Well, that's because we've developed our skill that you're not supposed to see it. And I think that a lot of riders these days, they want to know it. So they get too much into their left brain and they think about it too much rather than just feeling it. And breaking that down to where you can say, all right, look, we can talk theory, but in actuality, it's all about your feel and duplicating that feel. We teach a lot of clinics. And so when I go to a clinic and I teach for the weekend, I'm gone by Monday. So I need to make sure they understood it, but they felt it so they can duplicate it again when I'm not standing there. And that's really my whole tips page, my training tips page is based on that. I want people to be able to have exercises to do on their own, thinking for themselves, feeling it for themselves, and not relying on a trainer to stand there and tell them every single step of it when they're not feeling it.
Yeah. And the answer to working through that problem faster is to just have more horses.
Yeah.
So,
more repetition.
It's nobody's fault. You can't get time in the tack from doing anything else and developing that feel. And that's why, all of us riders get better and better just by having lots of horses to ride. So, I just tell my clients, you just need to buy 2 or 3 more and put them all in train and all that great stuff, right? And
my clients are you're going to
steal you
better.
Right now. And ideally that's the best answer. But what I'm trying to say is, don't be, for all the students out there, don't be too hard on yourselves. It takes hours and years and it's all
Absolutely.
Compounded into getting to where you want to be. And sometimes it goes slow, and sometimes, the next day it just clicks and you're like, okay, I could do it. That was the feeling. I tapped into, my own potential and my horse's potential, but it just takes time.
Yeah. And that's a great point. And we all learn from all of the horses that we've ridden, right? Every single horse we've ever ridden. We're fortunate that we get to train for a living, but we get to ride so many different horses. Most people have 1 or maybe 2. The lucky have more than that, which slows the process because you have one horse to ride a day. And you can work out in the gym all day long, which is great. It develops cardioism and everything else and muscles. Nothing is like riding. There's nothing that can duplicate being in the saddle. And so you only have that one horse that you can ride per day. Us that are fortunate to get to do it more, get more opportunities. So therefore it excels that feel. So, but again, everybody has their own journey. And so if you only have that one horse, that's great. You have a horse. If you don't, you find something to get on. And if you want to get better, then you really put forth that effort for that one horse for that day, but also have realistic expectations that nothing happens overnight.
Right. No, it's true. But I love it that there is some level of studying and that kind of thing as well, right? It's not just doing, you have to kind of know what you're doing.
Yep.
And that's what that's why we love your page and why we've been highlighting online businesses and online resources for people, because the information really is out there, and it's yours is free. It's you just have to get out into the page. And
Yep.
So it's really fantastic. So Melissa, tell us again, how do we get on the page? How do we find you? What's all your contact information that we can give to our listeners?
It's called Dressage Training Tips. And you can Google it on Facebook, and it'll pop up. There is a question that I ask you, which is just tell me in one sentence about you and your horse. I do that to make sure that the people on the page are legit and honest, and it's not, some weird person trying to get on. And then I am the sole proprietor of this, so I approve everything. And so please be patient. If I have some people that it doesn't list it on who joins last. It just kind of randomly does things. So I have to go through everybody to approve, and but would love to have as many people as possible on there. I also have my website, and you can email me on that website. It's Melissa Allen Dressage, LLC. And if you Google that, it'll pop up my website. You can contact me directly on that as well.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and we can't wait for our next installment. And when the tips come up, we always look forward to them.
Thank you guys so much. This was so fun.
This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Researchers have confirmed that as horses age, they naturally become less sensitive to insulin and more susceptible to health problems caused by too much sugar in the diet. One way to reduce the sugar content in a horse's diet is to replace sugar-laden grains with a high-fat supplement. Fat is an extraordinary energy source. It is readily utilized by the horse and contains more than 2 times the calories of sugary grains. Equijewel Stabilized Rice Bran is an excellent fat supplement. It contains a balanced calcium to phosphorus ratio and won't cause mineral imbalances when added to the diet. Its all-natural ingredients are high in healthy fat and fiber. Best of all, Equijewel allows owners to easily replace the calories previously supplied by sugary grains. When you need to add healthy calories to your horse's diet, choose Equijewel. To learn more, visit Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com.
Well, tonight we are so happy to have as our monthly guest, and we love having her, Wendy Murdoch from the Murdoch Method. Wendy, welcome back.
Thanks. It's always great to talk to you guys.
We love it. And actually, we are all currently sitting on our Anywhere saddle chairs. I had to come off because I maybe slightly got bucked off, but it was my own fault. But we love our helmet
either.
I was not wearing my helmet. No, I was trying to get water. It's a long story, but they're wonderful and they're really, really good. I like it for my back. When I sit on the Anywhere saddle chair, they're the best. So I think everyone else is sitting in their chair. I had to come off because I wasn't paying attention.
You told me you got too high. And if you're sitting on a chair that's really high and your feet can't touch the ground, it can be a little precarious. So you really do want to be able to put your feet on the floor.
And I got a little too far from my mic. That's when Paul really gets mad. Our producer will be like, get off your chair. But there was a lot of things happening. But normally I sit on my chair. Get off my high horse. But we love our Anywhere saddle chairs. And I've been using mine a lot because I use them when I visualize my tests, and we've been showing a lot. So I've been using it a lot. But I learned I can't do it when I'm doing the podcast. But tonight, we are actually going to talk about something that Phil and I are super excited about. It's your safari that you take people on. This is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about it.
It's so great. So back in 2000, well, actually, I started going on safari back in 99 and 98. I met a woman, her name was Mary Robinson, and she asked me if I'd take people on safari, and it was to Botswana. So I first started out going to Botswana, which was a base camp when we rode out. And then I lost touch with Mary for a while, and then I saw her again in like 2007, and she started in on me again. How about taking a group of people on safari, but this time to Kenya, to the Masai Mara? And I was like, okay. And of course, I went to my friend's house, and Out of Africa came on the television, and she was reading Meryl Barkham's book, West with the Night, which is a fabulous book. It's really good, but it's all about bush flying in Kenya back in the 1800s. And so it was like meant to be. And so Mary organized it. She had a company called Horsing Around International, and she organized the safaris. And I went in 2008. And then we met Gordy Church. And so our outfitter over in Kenya is Safaris Unlimited. And Safaris Unlimited, they started horseback safari in Kenya back in the 70s, like 71, I think it was. Gordy's dad started it, Tony Church. And so we got to know Tony and Gordy really well. And then Mary decided, when we went back in 2010, that she was getting old and she had lupus and she had some health issues. So she decided that I should own the company, Horsing Around International. And so Gordy and Mary conspired so that I bought the company. I needed another company. So I actually own Horsing Around International. It's a booking agency. And of course, we book rides to ride on the Masai Mara in Kenya. And I go on the ride. So, I'm the added bonus that you can have some instruction, very informal instruction, but instruction while we go on safari. And it's amazing. It's really amazing.
So what is the instruction if you see a lion?
Yeah.
Listen to Gordy.
Okay. You got your wildlife experts there.
Gordy is our outfitter. He is our guide supreme. He has eagle eyes, and they are all his horses. And actually in 2010, his super size. So Sice is a groom, right? And so his super size that safari in 2010 was Felicia. And now Felicia is married to Gordy, and they have 2 beautiful children. And so, we were there when they got together. So it's like family to me to go on safari with Safaris Unlimited, because they're amazing people. But Gordy is so amazing, and his whole goal is for us to have a fabulous time and come home with lots of memories so that we want to go back and everybody's safe. And my motto for teaching is always safe, fun, and educational. And basically that's the deal. He knows his horses super well. He's bred them. They now have a couple of Appaloosas, which is amazing. Because that's rare as hen's teeth in Kenya. But they have a super string, and Felicia actually played polo. And her brother played polo back in the UK. So she's a fabulous horsewoman. And so I've taken groups for 8 times over to Kenya to go riding with them, and it's just amazing.
And how many days do you do?
It's 9 days. So
okay.
we fly into Nairobi, and then we spend a night in the Serena Hotel and get everybody acclimated and have a group dinner. And then we head out from Wilson Airport. And if you know anything about Out of Africa, Wilson Airport is still the airport that, is in all the old stories like Out of Africa. And so we fly from Wilson and land on the Mara, and they pick us up with the vehicles, and we have drinks and snacks. And then we go on a little bimble, they call it, where you just kind of go on a little game drive to camp. And it's mobile tented camp. So, when people think about safari, a lot of people think they're going to be in a vehicle and they're going to be staying in a lodge. But our safaris are true safaris, meaning that you're out there, you have your crew, you have your horses, you have, the people that you're with, and you travel across this amazing land for 8 nights and 9 days. And so there's, depending on, we're going back in September, We have 2 rides, actually, depending on where the wildebeest are, because it's during the Great Migration, which is the largest land animal migration in the world. It's over 1.5 million wildebeest that travel from Tanzania, from the Serengeti, up into the Masai Mara, following what they call the Gnu Rains, which makes the grass pop. And they've already had their calves down in Tanzania, so now they're young, and they travel through the Mara, and then they head back down. And this is a migration that's been going on for I don't even know how long. So depending on where the wildebeest are at the time, we'll either have 3 or 4 camps. And these are beautiful camps. Gordy's found these lovely, like my favorite one is Lion Camp. And it's in this little knoll with this little river running through. And there's 2 prides of lion, one to the west and one to the east. And so at night, you hear the lions roaring back and forth. It's just incredible. And the stars, I'm sure you remember the stars. Because we're so close to the equator, there's only 15 minutes difference between summer and winter. So they don't have summer and winter. They have rainy season and dry season. And of course, when we're there, it's dry season. But the stars are so brilliant. And so, we have candlelight dinners with china and silverware and hors d'oeuvres and cocktails. And then we have gourmet meals. And it's hard for people to believe how the meals really are gourmet. Like we tell people there's really good food and they're like, yeah, you're on safari. And it's one of the things everybody talks about when they come home is the cooks cook on a charcoal fire and a little charcoal oven, and they bake focaccia, and we have, whipped cream because they have a solar freezer. And it's like you're not camping, you're glamping. This is
now we're talking, Wendy. Now we're talking. When I heard camping, I was like, ooh. Phil can tell you, I'm not a camper, but whipped cream.
Whipped cream.
I can handle this. So Wendy, obviously my husband is not a horse person. So is this something, do you need to have horse experience?
No.
Riding experience? How does that work? You may be pretty sore. But
yes. Well, the deal is you have to be a decent rider to go because when we are on horseback, we are surrounded by game. And, if something unexpected should happen, you need to be able to move quickly. So for the riding skill level, you need to be able to do a good hand gallop. But if you don't ride, you can come on in the vehicle. And the Pete, who drives the vehicle, takes people on photographic safari. And he actually guided for, do you remember the Disney movie, African Cats? It's amazing. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. The photography is stunning. And so Pete actually guided the camera crew for that movie. And he's been out there guiding for over 40 years and has another guy with an eagle eye. And so, so we had this couple come with us once, and he was like totally AAA, business guy on vacation. Half the morning was emailing and on his phone. And the wife, they did cycling. And so when they got there, they thought they might have to pitch their own tents. And we're like, are you kidding? There's a tent crew to do that. So the tent crew takes care of the tents, and they bring you coffee in the morning when you get up, right? If they come, jumbo, which is high, coffee or tea, cream and sugar, and a biscuit, which is a cookie. And so that's how you start your day.
Yes.
Yes, and they went out in the vehicle, and the first thing they saw was a baboon chasing a cheetah. And the guy was like, he never picked up his phone. And the wife was blown away that this like super type A guy put his phone down and had the time of his life. And it's such a special thing. And our guests, we stay in touch with all of our guests. Like I have guests from the very first safari. In fact, more than probably 75% of them I'm still in touch with on a regular basis because we all become family. When you travel with a group like that, and so we only take 10 guests because Brad and I go, and we take 10 guests, and you have more crew than guests. You have like 20 to 23 crew to 10 guests, and you're traveling across the land. And the thing I always talk about with Kenya is you can take it at the level of the skies, which are so amazing, or the trees, which are really incredible, or the flowers, or the game, or the birds. And there's so many different levels to take in that every time I go back, I see different things. And, like I love to go on photographics. So what I'll do is I'll ride most of the ride, and then I'll just go in the vehicle like early morning. We get up before sunrise. Not everybody wants to do that, but I love to do that. And I got the best lion pictures doing that. In the vehicle, you can get so close that Brad, one time we went back and found these lions with their cubs, and he could have literally reached out of the vehicle and touched the lion, because they don't see the vehicle as a threat, because there's no hunting in Kenya. There's poaching, which has actually been gotten under control. It was bad for a while there, but it's under control now. And so they're not afraid of the vehicle. So you don't get out of the vehicle, okay? You don't get out of the vehicle, but the game they don't see it as a threat. And so, on horseback, we don't get nearly that close. So the people that go in the vehicle, it's stunning. We've watched a pair of brother cheetahs and watched them for hours and went back and found them again. And we've seen lion and herds of zebra and wildebeest and, giraffe, and there are rhino. I haven't seen any rhino on the Mara. There are rhino there. They are protected. They have guards that keep an eye on them. I've seen them in the national park, which is right next to Nairobi. And we always take people to the elephant orphanage. So the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
We go, we make everybody adopt an elephant. It's $50 for the year so that we can go to the evening feeding. And so the Ellies are out in the national park during the day, and then the keepers walk them in for their dinner and for nighttime. And so you can go for evening feeding, and they come trotting in and bellowing for their dinners, and then they get their milk bottle, and then you can touch them and pet them, and they wrap their trunk around you. And it's really amazing.
Yes. I'm like ready to sign up. So how do you sign up? Like because I'm assuming you're starting to think about that for this year.
So what we had to do last year is we had to move. We were supposed to go in September last year, and we moved our two 2020 safaris to 2021 this year.
Okay.
And we still have some slots open in that one. And then we have dates for 2022. So right now on the Murdoch Method shop, there's a downloadable guidebook that Brad made. It's over 65 pages. It tells you everything from the kind of plugs that you need to travel insurance to where to fly and, what you need and what the trip's going to be like and the horses. It's a really, really informative booklet. We haven't updated it. It's still the 2020 guidebook. We haven't updated it for 2021 or 22, but most of the information is totally pertinent. And then there's just slight changes now. But one of the things people have to realize is that with COVID, that Kenya has been so on top of this, and they've had, a handful of deaths. They really haven't, because there's so much of a tourist industry. That's where so much of the country's income comes from, that they have really gotten a handle on it, and they have protocols in place, and we get updates. Brad's always talking to the people about COVID and what you have to do. And basically right now, you just have to have a test before you fly out, a test before you fly in, and a test before you fly out. And, by the time we get to September, you know how rapid things are changing. So I'm sure it'll be even easier. But, right now, there's easy arrangements to have that test. We're actually even thinking about whether or not we can have them come to camp and test everybody in camp, so they don't even have to, worry about it. And there's a whole system online to upload the tests. So they've really got a handle on it, because tourism is such an important part of their economy that, they're making huge efforts to make sure that that's not a limiting factor for anybody who wants to go.
It's so amazing. I'm like ready to sign up. I'm like, what? This is so cool. Well, one more time, Wendy, tell everybody, how can they find you and all of your amazing, you have so many businesses. It's really it's fantastic. Great. I love it.
I didn't need one more, and Mary has passed on now. So dear. It's like, but she wanted to see that her company kept going. And so we've continued that legacy. So to find me, you can email me at wendy@wendymurdoch.com. You can go to the murdochmethod.com website, go to the shop. There's a free downloadable items, and the Safari Guidebook is one of those. You can download that and already see a lot of information about what you need and what to do. And then people can just email me, and Brad usually gives them a call back, or emails them back, and answers all their questions. Like I said, we have a couple of spots left. We're taking actually 2 groups this time, so I will be in Kenya for at least 3 weeks in September.
Okay.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So, and it's so awesome because there's no computers.
Yes.
Right. And you're not surrounded by technology. We always try to encourage people to just put their phones to rest and just use them for cameras, because that's such a big part of just getting away and being in touch with the land and just, renewing. I mean, Brad just wants to sit in a chair in the middle of the plane and just breathe. He loves going back. It recharges his batteries.
That is so cool. It's amazing. And I have not been to the Masai Mara. I've been to South Africa, and it's an amazing place. So I would love to put my name in the hat to go. That would sound amazing.
Awesome.
So
yeah, the game in the Mara, since we started going in 2008, they actually made an arrangement with the Maasai who own the land we're on. Okay, so a big chunk of your fees actually goes to the Maasai for the permission to camp on their land. But they made an arrangement and they made these conservancies. And so what that did was the Maasai pulled back, and the game since 2008 to now has proliferated like crazy. And of course, there's been so few people out there because the lodges were shut down that the game's just come back. It's so amazing. You can see 15 different species in one 360 view when you're out there. It's incredible.
Well, Wendy, as always, thank you so much for coming on the show. We love hearing about all of your adventures. And if people really want to go, we want to hear all about it and see pictures. So thanks for coming on the show, and we can't wait to hear all about it.
All right. We'll talk to you next month.
Now, a quick word from EcoGold saddle pads. No slipping, no sliding, no problem. EcoGold secure saddle pads are engineered to keep the horse's back comfortable while keeping the saddle in place for a safe, competitive ride. They have impact protection through the seat, and the ultra-thin flaps provide the rider with better communication and a more stable riding position. Available in both English and Western styles. Shop the entire collection at ecogold.ca.
Well, tonight it is truly my honor to introduce one of USDF's newest FEI certified instructor, Jennifer Truitt. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm just so excited to be able to talk to you tonight.
It has been a big week. You literally just finished your testing on Tuesday, right?
Yes, Tuesday at like 4:00, I found out that my co-participants and we all passed. We were just super excited to be able to say, we have finally made it. It's a hard testing, and it's so many years in the process to get to this point. So yes, we were very excited, all 3 of us, to be able to say, we did it.
It is huge. It's a huge deal. And so tell us all, refresh us, what is the process to become an FEI certified instructor?
So basically, you have to have your own scores on 2 different horses, and you also have to have student scores that you can show that you have a certain amount of education and experience in the FEI levels. And this was the FEI-B certification, which I believe you also are, Reese.
That's right. And, I think we have 20%. There are 9 of us in the U.S. now. I think there's more than 20% on this call.
That's
We're
funny.
20%.
Yeah, that's true. So the FEI-B is it's just Pre-St. George and Intermediate 1. And so basically it's really cool. Like last year in season, we got to do a workshop that Lilo 4 put on for us. And so we got to ride a horse that we were familiar with and then teach a lesson to a student that we were unfamiliar with. So she got to kind of coach us through, and it was just an amazing experience, of camaraderie working with the other participants. And then they hand-selected the 3 of us, Bill McMullen, Cindy Wiley, and myself, to come through to the testing. Lilo actually gave us an afternoon refresher workshop, which was amazing, like a month ago, and kind of helped us get ready for this. And then for the testing, it was 2 days. And I'm staying at Marianne McPhail's farm in White Fences with my coach, Olivia Lagoy-Welts, and amazingly generous, both of them. They let us have the testing here at Marianne's High Meadow Farm. And what we wound up doing the first day was all three of us rode a horse that we were familiar with. So maybe a horse that was in training for Bill. And for Cindy and I, we both rode our personal horses. So I rode my young horse, Dream, who is 7 and working on basically 4th Pre-St. George. And starting to play with the Passage, which is super exciting and full pirouette. So kind of a good example of a horse that's moving up toward Pre-St. George Intermediate. And then we got to teach unfamiliar student both afternoons, and then Tuesday morning we rode unfamiliar horses. So they also included a written exam that, wow, we got it a week out, and it was essay questions.
It's hard.
And I was like, oh my God, each one of these questions, the answer could be literally a Dressage Today article.
It's true. It's a very hard test. It took forever.
Wow. I think I basically designated one question a night, and I probably spent 2 or 3 hours on each question. And the three of us were emailing like, oh my God, are you guys having as hard a time as I am? So we really developed so much camaraderie among the three of us. And then we did a verbal exam on Monday morning. And I have to say, that was a blast. I was really nervous about it because, you think going one-on-one with 3 examiners, especially the level of the people who were examining us. It was Ann Gribbons, Lilo Four, and Kathy Connolly, like amazing, elite, like the people, superstars that we look up to. And we got to do it in a group. So they had a whole list of questions that they were going to ask us. And then they would just sort of start at one end of our little line and say, give me your answer. And then the next participant got to just build on the last answer. And so it was so cool because it was more like just a conversation, and it would have been amazing to have it on video because the conversation among the 6 of us was incredible. And I mean, I learned that day, I think everybody else could say the same thing. And we all thought about things and came at the answers from a different perspective because we all have different backgrounds. And it was really just an amazing team building kind of feeling. And then, of course, the rest of the testing was, as it always is, it's like, oh, testing, so you worry and stress and did I do it okay? And did they like that? Am I still like posting on the right diagonal? Silly things like that. So it went great. And, I'm thrilled. What a great experience. Yeah. And they said now they have enough people that they're going to go ahead. They've got everything ready for a FEI A, which would be Intermediate 2 and Grand Prix. So that is super exciting. And they want me to move on.
That's awesome. That has not, that's new. They haven't released it yet. So that's fantastic.
No, I know it's going to be brand new. So they invited me to apply for that. So I'm so excited to be able to be in the inaugural group for that. And I don't know when it's going to be. They don't know anything like that, but they have like all of everything figured out. They just have to figure out like the when and where, all of that. So very excited. It's been 18 years in the making since I first did the initial workshops for the training and first level exam 18 years ago.
Yeah,
long time.
It's a process for sure for all trainers. And like you said, becomes really a great group of colleagues that you can, in any sport and any business, having colleagues to work with and answer questions. It's really it's a great group. So we couldn't be more excited that you're part of it. And so you've also been here in Wellington. We're in Loxahatchee, actually. You're my neighbor.
I know, you're just down the street.
What have you been doing while you've been here?
So I came down. I actually was a little leery about coming down because of COVID. So last year, before festival, I got invited to be in the Emerging Young Horse program with my young horse, Dreamy. And I had the opportunity. I was so fortunate that Christine Traulrig, the coach of the program, was going to be there at festival. So I got to meet her for the first time at festival. And she agreed to actually give me a lesson on my day off between my show days. And then she agreed to warm me up for the class, the final class. And Liv and Christine, Olivia Legoy-Welts, my coach, work beautifully together. It's incredible. And so the emerging program did a couple of training sessions down here. And I actually got invited to both of them. And it was amazing. And then I was able to get also probably 4 other lessons with Christine since she's been here. And this has been her first year, her first season to be here all season. So I don't think I'm going to go to Florida this year because of COVID turned into, it was originally going to be 6 weeks. It's been 10 weeks now. And the most incredible, progress and evolution in my riding and in my horses training and my depth of understanding about how to train horses that's ever happened in my whole career. Being able to be here with Olivia every day, I can ask her questions when she's riding her horses and when she's teaching, and I can pop my head in, and being able to ride with her every day on both my client's horse, Devo, owned by Gene Bros, and my own horse. There's just nothing like it. I've been able just to focus on my development this winter. Normally I have a bunch of clients down with me, so I have a whole farm and I have my own thing to do. But this year, it's really just been about my own education, and what a blessing. I have the best husband ever. I just have to say that, because he let me come down here and, not really make any money.
Yeah. Shout out to husband.
Exactly. Lenny Truitt, he's the best. But
Yay,
yeah,
Lenny.
Yay. So yeah,
it's a huge challenge for, we were just talking to Melissa Allen about, how to make that possible when you have to leave a business and then not make any money, and then try to fund competitions and trying to fund lessons, which are not cheap.
Everything.
The whole deal. So what's your advice here about, for people who want to make that happen, but see the financial burden as a bit too much?
Well, so I was talking with Gene actually, trying to figure out, I have product sponsors, but I have a couple of service sponsors, but I don't have any income sponsors, and I don't have, and I own my own horse. And so my husband and I fund it, and I try to work as hard as I can, teach as many lessons and clinics as I can, but I have a huge farm back at home and a mortgage. A lot of people, I think, don't own their own farm, and they have a bit different kind of financial situation. So Jean and I were talking, and she's like, we need to somehow figure out how you can sell the experience, and because I don't really want to sell shares of my horse. I want to be able to control him, everything about the decisions to make with him. And we were talking about, well, what can you do to share the experience with the people who really believe in you and want to be a part of your journey. And I had heard about this organization, or maybe it's just a website called Patreon. And what Patreon is it's this way that you can basically create a membership subscription to your whatever it is that you do. So it was actually set up originally for musicians and artists. So a musician might have a new album coming out, and they have all these people, all these fans who back them, and they might invite their top fans to come to a recording, and they actually get to be in the studio and record. Same thing with an artist. You could come and participate in some of the artwork. Well, with nobody that I really saw was doing dressage that way. So I set up Team Dream, which is just Patreon. It's patreon.com/Team Dream. And it's a way that you can set up different tiers. I have multiple tiers where I can share the behind the scenes information, my actual lesson footage, things that I'm processing mentally, should I show this week? Should I not show? Where are we in learning? What have I just learned? I had a lesson last week where I looked at Olivia and said, oh my gosh, my brain just fell out into a pool of Jell-O on the floor. So it's a really cool way to share that with my clients and people who really support and follow me, because I have a really big following on social media. People who just want to know, well, what's going on behind the show footage, because, that's when I'm really out in the public, is at a show. And there is so much, as you guys know, that goes into that. Like I have an osteopath that works on him, and like the saddle fitting, and we just got a new bridle and we did a whole fitting on that. And, all this stuff that goes into creating that end result that you present at a show. And so this is just a really great way to share that with people. And with the different tiers, people can buy into this experience at whatever their budget allows, but each tier allows for more and more participation. So one of the really fun things that we're doing that everyone loves is we're just doing, it's silly, Zoom kind of based, like virtual happy hour. So everybody just gets on and we're all drinking whatever we want to drink. There's people who drink milk and water, and, we all go through and say what we're drinking. And then I answer questions. I tell people what's going on and what's the latest and greatest, and who has said what about Dream, and, what we've been working on. And it's really been a great way for me to share my journey that I'm going through down here. And it's such an exciting year. It's way more than I can just write in a post. And I've been doing vlogs. So just a video sort of check in with everybody, and kind of saying, like, especially on a day that I just had an amazing breakthrough in a lesson, like, oh my gosh, you guys, I can't believe I just figured this out. Like, it's a whole new feeling. So it's just a really super way of making it possible for everybody to really feel a part of what I'm doing. And everybody's enjoying it.
I love it.
And it makes me a little bit of money, on the side. Like it's awesome.
You're not rolling in the dough, I'm sure, but it's definitely
goodness.
I mean, it's so expensive to maintain horses. We all know that. And then you're maintaining the high performance horses is just crazy.
So much more.
It's so much more.
Like
and
the
even here
path is like $350, for like an hour. And I'm like, oh my God, but she's so amazing. She's so worth it. So I think at this point, my monthly income for Dream would put a set of shoes on. So that's great.
That's great.
Yes, I know, because I have to pay for a set of shoes.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredibly helpful. But I think it's such a great idea because, again, you never know when you have an amazing horse, and all three of us know it doesn't happen all the time. And when you have it, you have to go. And that does mean that you have to be in Florida, not making any money for 12 weeks or whatever. And we're not living large. We all live pretty basically. And especially right now, things are pretty quiet here, but so all the money goes to the horses, but it really is a fantastic way to help fund. And we all know that when our friends have special horses, or whenever anything like that is happening, it's just a great way that you can support somebody and be a part of their journey. And I love it. So Jen, give us, how do we find you? Tell us again how we find your Patreon page.
It's www.patreon.com, and it's spelled Patreon.com, and then /Team Dream, because of course Dream is dreamy. So Team Dream. And then I'm on Facebook. I'm Jennifer Sappington Truitt on Facebook, and Twitter and Instagram. Or you can go to my farm page, which is www.mydhf.com.
Awesome. Well, Jen, again, congratulations on your FEI certification. We love it. And it's a huge deal. And we look forward to following you and Dream on your journey together.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for the support and letting me come on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Well, Phil, we always talk about the Total Saddle Fit products because we love them so much. But I was actually helping Sarah Turry on her young thoroughbred today, and we were looking at her shimmable saddle pad. And I love this product, especially for a youngster. Her particular horse is a 5-year-old thoroughbred, completely changed body style since we've been here in Florida. So it's a great pad. So you also use this quite a lot as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, I deal with a lot of young horses who, I mean, realistically, if things were perfect, we'd probably be, refitting saddles every 3 months. I don't think there's anybody that can do that, possibly. So, we try and have our saddle fitter in for sure every year, but for these guys, probably every 6 months. But they change so much, and it's so difficult to get the right fit with the saddle. So this shimmable saddle pad, it's a half pad actually, and you can put shims in the front, you can put shims in the middle, and you can put shims in the rear, and you can kind of make a saddle work for a temporary time while the horses are changing, and it's just a really wonderful product to make the horses as comfortable as possible, without huge expense of changing the saddle all the time and having your saddle fitter out all the time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We always, we're lucky we're here. So we do the horses when we first get here in December, and then we do them sort of the last week before we go home, because all the horses have changed very much in the time that we've been here in Florida. So, so that's why we needed the pad, because he's changed so much. So it's really a fantastic product. It's just a great one to have sort of in your barn when you need it, pull it out. If you can't get to your saddle fitter right away, or you have a young horse. So we highly recommend it, and all the other saddle accessories, the girths, the stability stirrup leathers, they're fantastic. So as always, take a look at totalsaddlefit.com, and we're going to go with our Total Saddle Fit tip of the week with Olivia Lagoy-Welts.
This week's dressage training tip is brought to you by Total Saddle Fit, home of the shoulder relief girth, at totalsaddlefit.com.
Well, tonight for our Total Saddle Fit tip of the week, we have Olivia Lagoy-Welts. Olivia, welcome back to the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Well, you have a great Total Saddle Fit tip of the week for us. What do you have for us?
I think my tip of the week it comes from actually we just imported a young horse that's 5, and she's lovely. She's great. And I think they've done a great job with her. But the guy said to me, she doesn't really lunge, because, we only do that a little bit when we break in, and then that's it. And so she's lovely, but she doesn't turn super well. And so I've taken her a little bit back to basics, and just in a really simple way, like putting her on the lunge line, even just with you can do it, or like I use the rope halter a lot, but like with her, I've done more just simply hooking the lunge line to the inside bit ring. And like the amount that it's challenging for this horse to just stay on a 20-meter circle and stay on the edge of the circle in one consistent tempo and one consistent basically bend, right? So that she's not trying to bulge her outside shoulder or then cut in on the circle. It's really sort of reminded me that, like, lunging, teaching a young horse to lunge, or any horse to lunge, it's not just about like, oh, I'm lunging it so that it's not crazy when I get on and the bucks are out, but it really is the first basis of teaching a lot of young horses, number one, like learning how to learn a skill set, which is a really important, piece of a horse's progression, because they have to learn lots of things as they grow up as horses. And so just learning that skill set of like trial, error, finding the right thing, like reward and like repeat, is like really important. And then the other thing is it like really is the first step in teaching them like the basics of like inside leg to sort of like outside of the body, and maintaining like an arc on the circle, inside hind, like reaching outside front, but not running away, out the outside shoulder, and being able to just like gently like follow, a connecting inside rein. And so it's like right at the top of my mind, because it really made it, when you get one in your barn that doesn't do that, you realize, oh, I've taught all the other ones how to do that, and this is missing. And while I can get on and address it under saddle, the mare is young enough and sort of has an interesting personality. She's very confident and a little bit dominant. And so under saddle, it could actually be much more of a discussion point. And I don't want to have this relationship with the horse where I start out with like a fight about like, no, you have to turn and do this. Whereas when I solve it and explain it to her on the lunge line, it really gets her in that, like her having to find the right place to put her body. So I thought that was interesting. And it's like a really, for me, how the horses are on the ground really translates to how they are under saddle.
I love it. I'm a huge fan. I think it's just like a life skill. There's life skills that like my little niece and nephew, human beings, have to learn, like sitting in a chair and listening to math problems. Like there's just life skills that you need to learn. And I completely agree. I think every horse should lunge. Of course, everything can be overdone, but a young horse, these are
for sure. It's not that you want to lunge them into the ground, but it's just the skill set needs to be there. Yep. They need to not like just view being put on the lunge line as a time to just like cut loose and be naughty and drag you around the ring. Like and I have play days with my horses where like, and it depends on the horse, how valuable the lunging is, but they should all be able to do it. And then you can decide whether that's a fit for the program and the horse or valuable. Whether they benefit from a play day where they, have a bit of control and they can bounce around a bit or, whatever. There's a lot of different ways you can use it, but, it's a skill set that they really should have, that you want to make sure they have.
Well, I think it's very, very important that the horses learn to balance themselves and to do the correct bend on a circle without a rider before being challenged by having, a different weight or something more on top of that. I think, if they've got a little bit of the confidence, and to learn the right tempo and to learn the right bend before you throw more complicated things at them, then they're just going to be more confident when you introduce those ideas, with a rider and okay, it might be easier for a lot of us just to get on and fix it, like you said, but the horse will, may become more confrontational, or it might be just more challenging with a rider than without. And, for me and going over the winter when we don't have much shows going on, or, like thinking about my goals, I do, I got lots of lunge days where I'm using trot poles and stuff like that. So I want to be able to, even the older horses, I want to be able to, pull out something different for them to do, because we're stuck inside. We're stuck basically doing the same thing every day, variations on the same thing every day. So I like to be able to say, okay, today we're going to lunge, and not have it be a lesson about lunging, but the horse is already confident at 8-9 years old. Oh, it's lunging today. And here's some trot poles, and here's some cavaletti exercises that I can do. It's just a variety of things that you can do. But if they didn't get those skills when they're younger, 3, 4, 5, then it's just going to be stressful later on in life, and that can be not a fun day at all. So it's important, right? It's an important skill.
Yeah, it's a great life skill. Love it. Love it. Well, Olivia, thank you so much for your Total Saddle Fit tip of the week. How can our listeners follow you online, especially while you're at the World Cup in Sweden?
Probably Instagram is the best. I think it's the only one I keep up to date. And that's just my name. If you just like put my name in, I think it's my like Olivia _Lagoy _Welch, and you'll find me. And I feel like the little @ thing is like @ Live Dressage. Maybe I could be lying about that. I'm not. But just look for my name. Fortunately, I think I'm the only one with my name, so you can't go wrong.
Well, perfect. Well, we can't wait to follow you. And thank you again for your tip tonight.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me back on.
Well, as always, everybody, we love email and Facebook shout outs. Keep them coming. We love it. And don't forget, we've got a great book club book going on right now, How Two Minds Meet, The Mental Dynamics of Dressage by Beth Baumert. And you can find that at horseandriderbooks.com, Trafalgar Square. They do an amazing job, and they have also other phenomenal books to take a listen and, read them, or you can listen to some of them as well. As always, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our website, dressageradio.com. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
I think the best way to find me is on Facebook, or my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors for allowing us to put on a good show. That's Kentucky Performance Products, Eco Gold, and Total Saddle Fit. Don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we can't wait to talk to you next week.